Hey, what's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be taking a look at the book Build, Elements of an Effective Software Organization. Kind of forgot what the subtitle was there for a second. Yeah, we're just going to go through it. So, what is this book? On the back, it says that it's a blueprint for continuous improvement. And kind of what that means is, well, it focuses on software organizations, of course, and how to make them and then keep them effective. It does this by discussing primarily three key components. So that's the business outcomes, which is investing the right amount of resources towards the most valuable opportunities. There's dev productivity, which is making fast and consistent progress towards valuable outcomes. And then there's dev experience, which is making sure that working on software in your company is minimally painful, primarily by eliminating wait time and interruptions. And the book is divided into five chapters for the introduction, and then one chapter for each of those three components, and then a summary at the end. And then I would describe it as like not a programming kind of technical book, but it is like a very technical, like soft skills book, going over the things that make software organizations either as businesses themselves, in the case of like a SaaS or like a software focused company, or as like organizations within other businesses, like a bank, for example, and how those organizations can do the things that they need to in the best way, in the best and like most effective way possible. So then, who should read this book? I think that most developers who are doing software development as a career or are interested in doing so can get something from this book. So starting with like junior and mid-level developers, there's a lot of like just good philosophy on businesses and organizations and kind of how software fits in and works well. And then there's also a lot of good principles on how you can make software orgs fit well, including like frameworks. There's lots of specific definitions. There's lots of really good examples of like things that you can measure in order to make sure that your organization is, doing things that are effective and good and, in service of business outcomes or developer productivity or developer experience. Then for senior and senior plus developers and above, the philosophical aspects of how organizations kind of work may not be as new or as fresh, but I think that they're still like pretty good. Like you'll probably still be able to learn something from all of the discussions on frameworks and metrics and kind of the more concrete notes of what frameworks there are, how you can use them, the possible like metrics that you can use in order to like fit into the frameworks, and how you can apply the frameworks effectively. Because another thing that it goes a lot into is like frameworks are sort of a skeleton of how you think about a problem. They're not actually solutions themselves to a problem. The last group I think should read this is managers, who should just read it because it's just, I don't know. I think as a manager, you spend most of your time kind of dealing with organizational issues, and this book has a lot of solutions. Next, what does it cover? So most of the book boils down to how individual teams would operate in an ideal world in order to maximize effectiveness, and then also talks a lot about the things that will get in the way of that, and then like how you manage them and how you can kind of like make sure that you're going in the right direction once you do start to measure stuff. And as part of that, it presents the team as kind of like the atomic unit of an organization rather than reducing it down to individuals. It's actually the team that is kind of like the like you can replace an individual within a team, but you can't really replace a team within an organization without like fundamentally changing what that organization is doing. As part of that, it has a lot of discussions on team structure. So that is like the roles that are included, to, all of the like engineering folks, and there's like kind of a distinction of like a mid-level developer kind of has a different scope within a team versus like a senior developer who has a different scope versus like staff and principal and so on. And then there's also the purpose of a team is that's another variable. So you can have like product teams. You can have product teams. You can have platform teams, and then you can have special teams. And like product teams are they're the ones who are like directly building something for for the organization that customers will then use. Platform teams is kind of more the idea that if your organization is doing a lot of something, you should probably get really good at it. And so, those will be the teams that will do like the developer tooling, all of the like the kind of like the one step behind kind of the product teams. And then the special teams are they solve problems that are not really specific to, or that don't really fit cleanly into that distinction, and they can be ad hoc teams and stuff like that. And then also the workload as it occurs in reality is like another thing that's like discussed really heavily. And so it uses the balance framework to kind of illustrate that with like new feature work versus keeping the lights on versus improving things versus productivity things. And those are like the four categories of work in the balance framework. One thing that the book really emphasizes in the first chapter is that there's kind of like table stakes of things that you kind of have to do in order to, or you have to subscribe to them as like concepts in order to get value out of the rest of the book. And so those table stakes are: you should believe that teams should be empowered and autonomous, and they should have the the kind of the power to make decisions themselves in a lot of cases of like how they will do their work. And then another one is rapid feedback. You should try and make your feedback loops as small and as tight and as quick as possible, because rapid feedback is just better for learning, it's better for iteration, it's better for experimentation, and all of that kind of like is stuff that you needed to do in order to improve the effectiveness of your software teams. And then the last one is outcomes versus output. So outcomes is good things happen. Output is I have done things, and these are not equivalent concepts. So I guess like one way to look at it is like I delivered a feature that produced $10,000 of revenue in its first month. That's a very different thing versus like I completed 10 merge requests in this month. Like one of these is an outcome, $10,000 in revenue, versus an output, which is 10 merge requests. And outcomes are significantly more important than output. So if I were to kind of boil down a lot of the key concepts in the book, it's mainly one, you want to measure the right things, because when you measure the right things, then you can know if you're in the right direction or if things are going the wrong direction. And then kind of related to that is that you also want to experiment often with kind of anything that you want. So that that's things like team structure, how the team operates, your team processes, your tooling, especially, kind of just anything. Like you want to experiment a lot and record the results of these experiments in order to determine again, are you going in the right direction or are you going in the wrong direction? So to kind of bring it all back, what are my thoughts on Build as a book? I think it's a really good read. It's pretty quick. It's only 126 pages. I took about 4 pages of notes, so it's a fairly dense 126 pages. And also, like, the paperback just feels really nice. I don't know what paper they print this on, but it's really good. So that's nice. And it's just got a whole bunch of like really good information. I've been struggling to vocalize some of the frustrations in my day job around how we think about work and productivity and like outcomes and all that. And this book, really helped me put some words and like proposals to those frustrations to like bring to my team, so that hopefully we can make these things better. And one example is that my team doesn't really prioritize pull request reviews, which is really frustrating, because I put something out there and then like no one sees it for 2 days, and that's it's kind of like, what am I supposed to do for these 2 days? There's ways to like find more work, but it's like that takes cycles, mentally. You may have to like figure out what stuff is available. It's a whole thing. But then like in the dev productivity chapter, it mentions one potential productivity improvement that you can kind of commit to in your effectiveness efforts as committing to review PRs before you're starting your own work, which I thought was like, it's nice that I'm not, that like other people feel that like reviewing pull request is like a high, it should be a high priority kind of thing. Then to go along with that, it later mentions working agreements as a tool for managing interruptions. A working agreement would be something that you decide on with your team. That's going to be something like one of the examples they gave was complete reviews within 2 hours of assignment. And then the way that you use these is like the other tool that they mentioned is retrospectives. And so you can then use retrospectives to help evaluate the success and the effectiveness of these working agreements, as insofar as they help you manage and ideally eliminate interruptions. So yeah, overall, I would highly recommend reading Build, especially for folks at companies that are at or are getting to the point where the software org is big enough to have more than a few teams. The communication lines are starting to stress. You're especially like if you're getting kind of bogged down by technical debt. This will give you like some good ideas to kind of propose ways that you can get out of that. And it's just full of like really good information. That's all I got for today. There will be an affiliate link in the description below. Please click it to help support the channel. But also, you should just read the book anyway even if you don't use the affiliate link. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you have a good day wherever you are.